I read the script, and then when we talked about it, I asked, at one point, I asked Alejandro about the disease, and it's very real. And children, people who are absolutely sensitive to the light and cannot go into the light.
Xeroderma pigmentosum, or XP, is a very rare, very real genetic disease where children lack the ability to protect themselves against the sunlight. They develop hundreds of skin and eye tumors. They require surgeries, grafting, cornea transplants, chemical treatments. There's less than 1,000 cases of XP in the world, less than 150 in the United States. And most of the children, because of lack of medical services or lack of the ability to block out the light, tend to die before adulthood.
I can't really explain it, but it's a disease that kids have, like I do, that we can't go out in the sunshine, but it's really annoying because my brothers can go outside and I can't.
Katie had her first exposure to sunlight that caused a serious problem when she was 6 weeks old. We were outside under an old oak tree, and she started screaming, some ungodly screeching noise coming out of this tiny, tiny little infant. And we ran over to this tree, brought her inside, ripped off her clothes and blankets, looking for something like a bee's nest, or thinking an ant's nest might have fallen out of the tree and had bitten her. She had all these red dots all over her whole body, like little pinpricks. And we watched in the kitchen as each one of these pinpricks started to fill up like a boil. And they bubbled right in front of our eyes. We were on the phone with the doctor as we're describing all this, watching this happen to her. And she had her first third-degree burn within 10 minutes of being outside under the shade of a tree.
The thought process when Katie got her first burn was just total disbelief, because it was just too bizarre.
Katie had 8 third-degree burns all over her body within the first year and a half of her life. And when she was diagnosed with XP, she was 2.5 years old at that point in time.
When the diagnosis came back as XP, Karen had called me at work. She said, I just got off the phone, Katie has XP. And I said, well, what's that?
The doctors were never able to find a cure.
For what?
Their condition. The children have a very serious allergy to light. They are photosensitive and they must never be exposed to any light much stronger than this.
Next thing you know, there's Karen putting up hefty bags on all the windows. It was an interesting period of time.
So we took out all the lights that were anything questionable. We turned to the lowest wattage that we could live with and still be able to walk around the house safely. We got into this system of locking all the doors anytime we got into the house so that nobody would accidentally walk in and letting light in. All the windows were always locked and closed, so there was never fresh air. We just closed everything and we became very much an island unto ourselves.
Have you all noticed what I'm doing? In this house, no door must be opened without the previous one being closed first. It is vital that you remember this. It's not as easy as it may seem.
In 1968, Dr. James Cleaver from the University of California in San Francisco first determined that with XP patients, what happens is a breakdown in the DNA repair, where we might get sunburned and we can fix that damage. It kind of falls off after a week or so. It hurts, but it goes away and you're okay. These children can't repair that damage, so that damage becomes garbage within the cells that mutates, which then become tumors and other types of cancers.
There are 2 major cancers that turn up in XP patients. Squamous carcinomas, which are surface cancers, and these can be removed surgically, and melanomas. Melanomas, if they metastasize, can be life-threatening, as they can be in anybody.
XP itself has been used as a window to study many other diseases. Because we know that ultraviolet light is what kills the cell for XP patients, that becomes the control cell in studying leukemia, Parkinson's and Hodgkin's disease.
What we learn from XP is the mechanism by which sun damages the DNA of the skin. Now, this is typical of many other forms of cancer that are induced by external environmental causes, either in diet or radiation or chemicals or tobacco smoke. So it's an ideal model for understanding how cancer is caused. And by implication, if we can make a major inroad in treating and curing XP, we may do that for cancers in general.
XP is a genetic defect where both parents have to carry a recessive gene. The odds of us having a child with XP are 1 in 4. Each one of our kids could have had it. None of them could have had it. Katie happened to be that 1 in 4 that happened to be it.
Xeroderma pigmentosum, to our best estimates, occurs at a frequency about 1 to 4 or 5 in a million of the population. When you think of the population of the United States, we may know about a few hundred patients. And in fact, the patients may find that they are the only people that they know of with this disease until they can get in touch with a support network. So it's a very difficult feeling of isolation.
It's very depressing if you are all alone in a situation. The fact that you're stuck inside of a building and you don't have the ability to get out where other people are is isolating itself.
In some countries it can be even worse than we have in the United States, when the number of patients is so rare they may be the only person for hundreds of miles.
We didn't want Katie to be alone. If she could just meet just one XP child, we would be happy. Just one.
There was no organization like there is the American Heart Association or the American Lung Group. There was no American XP group. So there was no coping mechanism, no other families to contact. So we decided to form a group and have camps together where once a year families would gather and they could share those experiences and share any new information that came out about treatment or diagnosis, something that would help the kids.
So Karen came up with the idea of seeing if some of the families would want to travel to upstate New York and spend a couple of days in a UV safe environment. We can stay up all night, she said. We can do horseback riding and have barbecues at night, whatever.
Camp Sundown is something that the XP Society and Karen and Dan Mahar have organized for a number of years now. Children and their families with XP are invited in and they spend a week. They live at the camp and they change their whole day schedule so that they sleep during the day when the sun is up, and then they come out after dark and they have a whole night of activities.
It's just cool because other kids that don't have XP don't want to be outside at night, but we always do because we can't go outside at the day. The
camp was a tremendous success the first year. Most of it was run out of our backyard. Subsequently, this is our 6th year doing it. The camp now has grown to, I think, 53 families we had last year, so it's grown quite a bit.
Having the internet enabled us to bring families from Nepal, from Greece, from Holland, from Morocco, Venezuela, Peru, which is how we're able to see, too, that XP is all over the world.
It's a tremendous help, I believe, that they are able to mix with other people who have the same disorder and can share notes and information and concerns.
It's so hard to explain the bond that you have when you see another child with XP. Well, that child is your child, too.
It really put me in place as far as just understanding better our whole purposes here on the planet, what we're all here for. And everybody's role is different.
Yeah, I just want to enjoy my life as I have it. And my dad said that if I don't go out in the sun anymore for my whole entire life, I would go till I was like 93 or something, or a little bit older than that.